Hey guys, Cody Baramani. Today we're going to talk through some tips and tricks about welding up custom exhaust. We've got a mild steel kit here. It's set up for slip fit. They're already expanded on one side. We're just going to run through how you set it up, some of the best practices for welding, what to do after you've got it welded up, and just some of the things we've learned over the years.
Use this code to get 5% off your order over $75 for the first 7 days this video is live. All right, back to the action.
All right, so let's talk about some of the benefits about buying a builder's kit and really making it fit your application and the project you're working on. What's nice is when you get them, they typically give you more than enough tubing. They give you some 45s, they give you some 180s, some 90s. Sometimes they have some 60-degree bends in there. Occasionally they'll have X-pipe or H-pipe stuff. But it's really great because you can make it fit your exact application. You know, a lot of people run a different engine, different transmission than what came with the car. You can really dial in where you want the exhaust to come out. And it's just an affordable way to get the project done. A lot of you guys, you're gonna have a MIG welder already. It's really easy to weld this up with a MIG welder. Now to weld up stainless, really you need to be running stainless wire in your MIG. There's a lot of learning around that, or you need to be running TIG. Now Vince, he's done some videos with us on how to weld stainless properly. He's really good at it, he does it for a living, and you can see some of his results right here. Now what we're gonna show you is really the DIY way to put an exhaust on a project car without breaking the bank. By welding up this exhaust, we're not gonna have clamps everywhere, it's not gonna leak, it's gonna hold up a lot better because those clamps, you're gonna end up with a rust spot there, stuff's gonna fail over time, and it's just gonna be a lot cleaner and easier to fit your exact project. So what we got on the bench here today is a 2 1/4 kit. This is all aluminized. That would be mild steel with then an aluminum coating on it. That gives it some corrosion protection, but it still welds really nice and basically like mild steel. We've got a MIG 180. It's got 030 wire in it. That's gonna be great for this. You could do this with 023 wire as well. You're gonna have a tough time doing this with 035. So 030 is really a good middle of the road for this. We're gonna run around 18 volts and probably 220 inches per minute on our wire speed. And that's gonna give us the ability to do a nice small weld, and we'll probably stitch around this. We could do continuous welding, but I really like just doing little stitch welds, overlapping each other, and trying to create a nice small profile while keeping the heat down in the exhaust. So let's jump in, let's get some of this set up on the table here, and we'll run through some of the tips of mocking this stuff up and go through welding it. So let's talk about getting the exhaust actually mocked up under your truck or car. Now you're always gonna work from your collector back. You know, you're gonna pick out where your exhaust is gonna dump, really get an idea of, okay, where are my parts gonna be, where's my muffler gonna land, but still start from the collector, work back. Your slip fit is always gonna point towards the rear of the vehicle. Now the muffler will have a slip fit on both sides in almost all applications, and that lets you slip that on and then piece it together and keep slipping parts on as you go towards the back of the car. So the exhaust should slip together pretty easily. See, like that. Now what you will find, if it doesn't go together, you may have a burr. Deburring tool will take care of that, no problem. So once you get it just where you want it, you're typically going to want to do 3 to 4 tacks. The reason for that is this exhaust has the ability to rotate or sag, especially once you got a bunch of weight off of it. Those 4 tacks really keep it located and keep it from moving around. One thing you want to make sure you do is not start doing your finish welding before you have the whole system tacked up. When you weld this piping together, you're really not grinding it back apart. You're gonna have to take a tubing cutter, cut behind it, cut that off, and it's really difficult to then get that part off your other piece. You're gonna end up having to leave it. It's not gonna look cool. All right, so inevitably, you're gonna run into a situation where you're not gonna be able to fit a slip fit or you're out of them. In that case, you can butt weld this stuff. You gotta really try and get a good fit up as tight as possible, and that's where clamps like this really come in handy. There's also some clamps from some other companies. We sell IC Engine Works is one of them. They actually allow you to clamp both sides and really hold this tubing tight. All right, so you got your piece of pipe. You know you need to make it 18 inches long. What's the best way to cut this? Well, what I've found, if you're working with 2.5 inch or less, it's actually our tubing cutter. This is really handy, just like a smaller tubing cutter, but it actually works really well with exhaust tubing. And in that case, you just need one Sharpie mark because that'll get you on the line. So it's really easy to get yourself lined up. It's got a ton of adjustability. This works really good with small tubing, and it'll even cut roll cage tubing. So I can get dialed in my mark. It ratchets. This works pretty well under a car too. And you feel once it gets loose like that, you need to add a little tension. Now if you need to make a cut in the curve, this is not going to work as well. And you may have your Sharpie mark like that, but then it's how do I transfer that accurately around that tubing. This is where some thin tape really comes in handy. Lets you take that tape and run right around the tubing. And that's going to give you a nice straight line to cut against. Another great way to cut this exhaust tubing is with the bandsaw. It's going to be nice and straight, pretty burr free. It's not going to put a ton of heat into it. And if you don't have a ton of tools around the shop, a hacksaw will actually do a great job with this. It's also really handy when you have to cut in the bend. You can put this in a vise, your vise has pipe jaws, and you're able to ride that masking tape, get a nice clean cut. Starrett and some other companies, they make these really nice fine-tooth blades that last a long time and cut surprisingly fast. So now that we got some of this cut up, let's get it mocked up. We'll tack it together, show you guys how I like to weld this up. All right, so we got this tube all mocked up. We're gonna go through, tack it. You typically wanna put at least 3 tacks, if not 4, and then we'll finish welding. Let's walk you guys through the process. One thing to note, we put just some alignment marks here, so that way we didn't get this all twisted up. It stays exactly where we want it. So with the machine set to 18 volts, that 220 or so inches per minute wire speed, be able to come through. So in this method, I'm doing some stitch welding. I'm basically laying my tacks on top of one another, but I'm coming about a half width of each tack. I'm trying to do it quickly so that my material stays hot. And then I'm trying to get my wire right in the V that's created between the slip fit of the pipes. So that worked out pretty well. You know, I was able to come around sort of 1/4 at a time, make it through the whole weld fairly quickly. Now on this other weld, what we can do, I can show you a little bit where when you do continuous weld, you're gonna have to move a good bit quicker and really try not to burn through this material while still making a good solid weld. All right, so on this one, we're gonna do a little bit of a continuous weld. You'll be able to see what that's like. So there you go. I mean, you still end up having to start and stop a few times just to get around the tubing, but you're able to do a continuous weld with it as well. And this particular kit, it's a really thick wall. Sometimes when you're working with this exhaust tubing, it's not as nice and not as thick. And it's a lot more like welding sheet metal. But either way, you'd end up with a great result. All right, so we got these parts all welded up. Now, we keep working on the rest of the system, get that all complete. And once you've got it all welded up, you know, the aluminized, it's gonna give you some good corrosion protection. This is gonna last for quite a few years, especially in a car that you may not drive in the winter. But where you've welded, you've more or less lost that corrosion protection. So one of the things that Eastwood sells is some of our high temp and exhaust paints. We carry just a regular exhaust paint. This is good for up to 800 degrees, and it's gonna match the aluminized pretty well. This would be something that, say you just wanted to hit your weld areas, some of the areas in between, That's going to do a great job for that. We also carry high temp coatings that are rated for up to 1400 degrees. These can be a little bit better if you're using them on, say, a header or an exhaust manifold, or if you're looking for a different color from the standard aluminized look. You know, we carry that in a silver, a factory gray. I really like this color. And then we also carry a black. That's gonna be a nice matte black. Say you didn't want to highlight the exhaust, you could use that. We also carry an internal exhaust coating. This is really neat because it actually coats the inside of the exhaust with a long extension nozzle, just like our internal frame coating, and it provides some corrosion protection and also some temperature protection from the inside out. So using all these tips and tricks, Adam was able to put together a really nice exhaust for his C10, and then he got it all coated up with our exhaust paint. So for more information about the products you saw here, check out the links in the description below the video. And for any more information in general, be sure to check out eastwood.com. Thanks for watching.